Hey, we're back, and it's now part 2 of this last week's new comics, bitches! I'm out of my mind. I smoked a lot of crack before I recorded this video. Big dogs landing on my face. I don't know what that means. Anyway, so yeah, just went a little crazy there. We've got, so we just finished talking about Invincible, number 85. All-Star Western, number 3. Again, some of these comics I don't have in my possession immediately because they're not here. So, because I shop at a new comic store, they don't get some of these in quite yet, so I had to read some of them, and I didn't have a notebook on me, so I didn't really take notes. I did take some notes, but anyway, All-Star Western number 3. So we have basically, well, it kind of seems like it's the finale of Jonah Hex in Gotham, but it might not be. Again, Justin Gray and Jimmy Palmiotti do, a really terrific job of, illustrating what this kind of birthing process, I guess, is the best way that I can put it, of Gotham City is like, and with this, the religion of crime, everything like that, and how Jonah Hex teams up with Amadeus Arkham to stop it. It's a really interesting story. It's really well told up until the end, where it gets a little confusing. It's like, I'm not really sure what just happened here. But I do like the way that Hex is always kind of he's always kind of poking and prodding Dr. Arkham, and deservedly so, because the guy is going to turn into a lunatic eventually. But anyway, before he does, at least we know that he was a good man who tried to do good things and teamed up with the most famous bounty hunter of the Old West. To bring in the Gotham Butcher and and put an end to, at least momentarily it seems, to the religion of crime. Now with that, we also have the B story of El Diablo, where it's basically fighting a horde of like zombies, because zombies were in the Old West too. This to me felt a little forced. It felt a little thrown together. So I wasn't as big of a fan of that as I was of this, but it's still, it still held my interest. This is about a 3.5 out of 5, closer to probably a 3. It's been better. So this issue was kind of a letdown. Although it does have a nice, I guess, what a drive-by would be in the Old West. That was kind of interesting and very, very unexpected. So that kind of shocked me, but it's still, it was a solid read. It's a good read. I'm not going to drop it or anything like that, but that comic's definitely been better. Okay, so moving on, we're getting to kind of my picks of the week here, and I guarantee the pick that I have this week will surprise you. Okay, so we've got Captain America and Bucky, number 624. Sadly, this is Chris Samnee's last issue on it. Francesco Francavilla will be taking over art duties the next issue. I cannot wait for that, which is not to say that I haven't loved every single moment of Chris Samnee's artwork in this book. And that's, and obviously the writing has been really, really, really solid. The way that he draws the Black Widow is probably sexier than I've ever seen her. I mean, she's really sexy, which is why I'm not a huge fan of the McGuinness cover, the Ed McGuinness cover, because it looks like everything else Ed McGuinness does, which is women have really, really small bodies, men have huge bodies. Again, it's a really well-written comic. I was hoping that this would be more, because this is more of a one-off than it is anything else. It's basically about Bucky and his, at least one of his missions as the Winter Soldier. And that's what I'm hoping that the upcoming Winter Soldier series will get more into, is that we'll get more into the years that Bucky was the Winter Soldier. But this is basically a prelude to that comic, because at the end of it, we're basically, you know, once he finishes telling his mission, you know, telling the details of some of his life to his you know, to his old sister, who's now in a hospital. She has Alzheimer's. You know, Natasha and James get on their bike and they had to go catch some bad guys, and that's, you know, that's a big deal. There isn't a moment of this comic where I feel like I've been cheated out of anything. Like I said, it doesn't feel rushed. I just wish they had spent more time. And like I said, I'm hoping that's something that the new comic will give us. So, so this is, you know, this is 4 out of 5. Again, really solid work from this creative team. I'll miss Chris Samney. I'm hoping that he'll have art duties elsewhere very, very soon, because he seems really, really well suited for this comic. But, you know, I love Francesco Francavilla, so seeing his stuff again will be a super big treat for me. Okay, so we have, you know, our books of the week. There can be only one, but there are some very, very big contenders, and this is one of them, because we have I, Vampire #3. Now, again, Joshua Hale Fialkov, Andrea Sorrentino, some fantastic work on bringing this character to life, and all of these characters, really, because we are introduced to at least what I believe is a new character. It's a new character to me because I'm not that familiar with Andrew Bennett over the years. I read some of the stuff back from like the 80s, like 1 or 2 issues, to be honest, and that's all. When it was, I think, House of Secrets that he was part of. But we have Professor John Troughton, and basically how he originally met Andrew Bennett, and that was back in the 60s, back in the 70s, late 70s, in San Francisco, and how he's always kind of been there for him. They've always kind of been there for each other. And, you know, got four attacks. You know, we now found out there's been 4 attacks, not just the one in Boston, but we got also L.A., Star City, and Coast City. And, you know, so, again, we've got, you know, so, we've got, you know, Andrew and Professor Troughton are already, you know, they're on their way to go ahead and kill some vampires. That's, you know, that's what they're looking to do. And whether or not Mary is going to be one of them, but we also have a new character here, by the name of Tig, who kind of reminds me of, like, she's almost like a manga vampire hunter cosplayer. She's you know, an interesting character thus far, and I'm very, very much looking to seeing more of them. And then we have this awesome page right here, this awesome, you know, gatefold spread, in which it gives us a hint of where Mary is going to be meeting Andrew next, where basically where she wants him to come to, and now, the next issue does tease that there's John Constantine is going to be here, but Mary is indeed in Gotham City already. So we're coming up to Batman here, and seeing Batman in this comic will probably just make it all the cooler. But I'm also really looking forward to Josh Fialkov's take on him, as well as Sorrentino's artwork. 4.5 out of 5, great read, you know, great art. I mean, there's nothing about this comic book that I don't like or don't think is really, really awesome. So this issue it's just, again, it's continuing a really great streak. The others were more, were more 5 out of 5s. This one's just a little bit lesser because it seems to, it's the pacing seems to wear down a little. So again, that takes off, half a star. But it's still very well thought out, very well executed, and so it keeps on going. This was close, actually, between these three, because they're all really good, but this is another one of the best, and that is Fantastic Four number 600. This is $7.99. It's worth every fucking penny, because you've got a whole lot of stuff going on here, but none of it's filler. And this has, admittedly to me, the biggest surprise of all of them. Some people might piss on this issue. I'm not sure whether or not I should spoil anything for you. First of all, we've got, most of the art in this issue is, it's entirely written. All of these pages, all like 300 of them. I mean, this is a really long comic, and every page of it's really good. We've got, Steve Epting doing the art, and of course, I love Steve Epting to death, and he does pretty much the A story, and then there's B story, which I can't really talk about without spoiling it. So again, if you haven't read it, I want you to read it first. We've got some really interesting stuff going on with Anna Tillin, with Medusa and Black Bolt and his other wives. And then we've got some nice stuff where Neil Yu comes to brings his art to this, and it's a story of Galactus. And then we have an interesting little story about Franklin and the universe that that basically he can create. And it's a nice little kids comic, but it has this really high concept idea in it. So again, I can't say much about this other than it's 4.5 out of 5. Really, really, really close to 5, like a hair away. And I don't even know what that hair is. So I'm just going to call it, I'm going to say 5 out of 5. This was a fucking great comic, and every page is worth it. It's all killer, no filler. So for $7.99, it is worth it. And this is the biggest shock of them all. This will blow you out of your seat, specifically if you've been watching me for a while now and seeing what I've been talking about. My book of the week, Secret Avengers number 19, written by Warren Ellis. This is just, it's like I said about last week's issue of Punisher, which was also one of my favorites of the week. This is like a masterclass in single issue storytelling. And this is a one-off, because all of Ellis's work on Secret Avengers have all been one-offs. They've just been one issue and out. That's it for the story. But here we have, coming to the forefront, we have Moon Knight. We have some really interesting villains. We've got, beautiful, beautiful art by Michael Lark. And it's just fantastic. There isn't a frame of this comic that I don't love. And it's written so incredibly well that it's making me possibly rethink my thoughts about Warren Ellis. It's just so good. It's just really, it's a wonderful comic. 5 out of 5, no question. It's just great. So that's it. That's it for this week of the Shadow Gallery. So thanks for coming. Again, Donnelly, at Donnelly92274 on Twitter, James Donnelly on Facebook. I'm here every week. So we'll see you next time, bitches.